Hello and welcome back to another Unlocking Academic English Vocabulary video lesson. My name is Darcy. Thank you for joining. Hopefully by now most of you are already well aware of what the aim and scope of this lesson series is all about. But for new viewers, to briefly introduce the video lesson series, the course, this is a course that aims to assist independent English learners improve their accumulation and understanding of academic vocabulary through the study of the structure of words. So hopefully that's helpful for you. And for those viewers that have been following along, I just want to give you a little bit more clarity about what my goals are for you guys in this course. We're striving to improve our knowledge of word etymology. That is, etymology means the origin of words, the study of the origin of words. And it should become an integral part of your language study. By participating in this course, it is my hope that you will realize these three abilities. Number one is to improve your command of academic vocabulary. That is, to be able to remember and use the specific word that you need when you need it. Secondly, to improve your understanding and appreciation of academic level texts. As a language learner, you probably don't have enough exposure to this language and how it is used. You haven't grown up in the English speaking culture or gone to English schools. So it's my goal to kind of give you more contextual description, explanation, to give you a new understanding and appreciation of the kind of text that we'll be studying further on down the road. And finally, to give you the ability to use academic language correctly in speech and writing. All right, now it's often said that the best way to expand our knowledge of vocabulary is through reading and learning how words are used in the proper context. Thus, in each of these lessons, I am providing examples with commentary in addition to the basic definition and translation. So the information that I'm providing in these videos goes beyond what you may find in a dictionary, for example. Our selection of words learned in this lesson series have been carefully chosen based upon their frequency and relevance to assist the language students. So this is a comprehensive course. And again, if you view it in its entirety, new lessons build upon older lessons, and they also reinforce the learning that we got from older lessons. So you need to watch the previous lesson in order to get the full benefit of this lesson, but then also by watching later lessons, information content in later lessons references earlier lessons to help reinforce and strengthen your memory and understanding of what we learned in previous lessons. And again, the words are chosen based upon their frequency and relevance. I want to introduce to you guys the words that you need to know later on in your, language study to prepare you, basically. And if you're new to the video lesson series and you're still watching, after watching this video, do go back to the beginning, watch the video lesson series in its entirety. Watch with a pen at the ready to take notes, and I'd invite you to check out some of the other courses that I've also provided on this channel. If you like this content, if you have a question, please leave a comment, send me a message. If you'd like to have some downloadable materials, I can provide that, and we can also arrange to have a call, a one-to-one consultation, if that's what you need. So, I posted a video a few days back called The History of English, and I just want to talk a little bit about that. English is an amalgamated language consisting of words of Germanic, Norse, French, Latin, and Greek origin. So, we'll notice when referencing words in the dictionary where they originate from. A lot of the academic text is of Latin origin, and Latin is an evolved language containing a lot of Greek words. Latin is the evolution of Greek, and perhaps we'll come back to that topic in a future lesson as well. But English itself contains Germanic, it contains Germanic, French, Latin, and Greek. And this is because the country that we know today as the United Kingdom or Great Britain had been conquered and colonized many times, spanning many centuries. So if this is a topic that you're interested in, go back to the lesson, The History of English, posted on this channel. Here we see in this chart an approximation of what percentage of the English language is constituted from other languages. Roughly speaking, the English language is constituted of 25% Germanic, 30% French, 30% Latin, 6% Greek, and 10% of other sources, other origins. Okay? Now, as we continue our study of word structure, we should pause to clarify the meaning between what are root words and what are base words. Consider the following, quoting from the website differencebetween.net. A root word is a primary form of a word, while a base word is a word that can stand on its own. A root word may or may not have a meaning, while a base word has a meaning on its own. New words can be formed using root words and base words by adding suffixes or prefixes, and several affixes can be added to root words for it to have a meaning. A root word is a basic linguistic unit, and it is the original form of a word, while a base word is a word in its simplest form. So there may be some confusion based upon the name, root word. You think of it as a word as a single linguistic unit having meaning, right? A word is the single unit of meaning in communication in a sentence, right? So a root word isn't actually a word; it's a part of the word. Whereas a base word is the word in its simplest form, without other affixes added to it. We can understand the concept of base words and root words with this example: the verb educate. It is a base word. It is in its simplest form, and that is, it can't be further broken down, and it can stand on its own. Here are a selection of other words belonging to the same word family: education, educator, educated, educating, educational, educationally, educative, uneducated, and re-education. So we can see that all of these words contain the base word. They are altered in some way with affixes added to take on a different function, but overall they convey the same basic idea or meaning related to the formal study of and learning. But where does this word education actually come from, and why does it get this meaning? For that, we should consult the Oxford English Dictionary. This is what we get. It's a verb, and it means to give intellectual instruction, typically at a school or university, to provide instruction, to give training or information. Further down below, we see that the word's origin is of late Middle English, and it is derived from the Latin educat, from the verb educar, related to educere. It tells us to look at this word here, educe. Educe is a verb which means to bring out, to develop, and to infer. We use the word infer or deduce. We don't really use the word educe so much, but educe is just another derivative of this late Middle English or Latin educere. And so this Latin word educere has a prefix, e, meaning out, and the root word ducere, to lead. So the root word found in educate is the same root word that is found in deduce or educe. And I've given some other words containing that same root word, the Latin ducere. Okay, the root word contained in the verb educate is the Latin word ducere, which means to lead out or to bring out, or to lead. And then educere is to lead out. So if we do a little further research, we see instances of the root word ducere present in various other words, such as adduce, conduce, deduce, educe, induce, introduce, produce, reduce, and seduce. These are all base words. They stand on their own, and they can form a larger number of other words of their own word family. So educate, education, produce, production or product. So those are the base words, and then we can add suffixes to give that base word a different type of a function, but it typically maintains the same meaning. That meaning is found in the root word. So hopefully now you can begin to see the difference between what is a base word and what is a root word. A root word isn't necessarily a word. At least it is no longer a meaningful word in modern English. When we study words and pay attention to root words and their affixes, we can begin to see patterns that are staggeringly common in English words. Academic words especially, since academic English contains almost exclusively Latin-derived words. Now, let's continue. For the remainder of this lesson, we'll be looking at words having the prefix beginning with the letter I as we go through the alphabet. So we'll be defining and discussing words that have prefixes beginning with the letter I, as in ignorant, illegal, illiterate, illuminate, include, instance, incident, inquiry, invest, investigate, imperfect, impossible, important, irrational, and irregular. Take note of any words that you already know and words that you may not yet know. So there are two basic types of prefixes that we'll be looking at today. The first one in takes the same meaning as the preposition in, as in inside, include, and involve. In means to be surrounded by or enclosed, in an object. This in prefix is a Latin prefix, and it is the same. It has the same meaning as the preposition that we use nowadays. The second prefix is one that negates. It acts as a not for the root word. So there's two types of prefixes. There's inside. The prefix means to come into. And then there's this negating prefix. Illegal negates. It is the opposite of legal. Imperfect. Okay? Illegal, imperfect. As we have discussed also in previous lessons, it's common to see prefixes change their spelling to accord with the rules of spelling and pronunciation dependent upon the word it is being added to. Thus, we add il as a prefix before words that begin with l, as in illegal, or ir before words with r, as in irrational, and so on. So we've seen that in other lessons. Let's get into defining these words now. The root word here, ignorant. The root word contained in the word ignorant is gnosis, and it is found in other words such as knowledge. The verb to ignore means to not pay attention to something. When living in large urban cities, you learn to ignore the constant background noise of traffic and heavy construction machinery. So ignore is the base word, the verb. Ignorant is the adjective. The root word is gnosis, and the prefix negates it. So without knowledge is what it means. Ignorant is an adjective used to describe someone who is uneducated, unknowledgeable, and perhaps unwise. All right, the next word, illegal or illicit. Illegal is an adjective for things or activities forbidden by law, such as weapons, narcotics, prostitution, fraud, and other kinds of harmful or dangerous behavior. It is the opposite of legal, that which has been sanctioned or permitted as lawful by state authorities. The next word is illiterate. Literacy as a noun means the ability to read and write. Someone who is illiterate is someone who lacks the ability to read or write. The root word found in literate is an adjective. The root word is the same word found in letter. So literate is a base word. Letter is a related base word of this family here. Letter as in the alphabetical symbol, also seen in literal and literature. Next word is illuminate. Light is measured in lumens, so the base word here is lumen. An OLED screen, for example, has a brightness of about 25 to 50 lumens. Illumination means to bring light. This is the first word we've seen so far containing the prefix in, used in the sense of coming into. To give light, illuminate. Another word for illumination is enlightenment. The Renaissance period marked the beginning of the age of reason and enlightenment for Western civilization, as the mysteries of the natural world came to be understood through formal investigations, giving rise to the modern-day scientific worldview. Our next word is include. Include as a verb means to bring something into the whole. It is important to allow everyone to feel included in the group. Forms of discrimination, harassment, such as name-calling and bullying, must not be tolerated. Include is the opposite of exclude, which means to separate from the whole. Our next word is incident. The root word here is to fall. An incident, therefore, means a situation in which one has fallen into. The word incident is oftentimes synonymous with accident, meaning an unexpected and unfortunate event. Inquiry. A query is a question. Query is kind of the base word here. Query, which means question. The root word in Latin means to seek. To inquire, synonymous with the less commonly used word enquire, is to ask. Query is a question. Inquire is a verb to ask. An inquiry meeting is one in which many questions are raised. In formal speech, it is thought to be more polite, in writing particularly, to use the word inquire rather than ask when requesting information to be provided. Instance. An instance is a single occurrence of something, and it is often used synonymously with the word example. We use the phrases for instance and for example in writing and speech when we want to make a point by means of comparison. So we often generalize or conceptualize in communication, and in order to help clarify the meaning of our words, it is a standard practice to give a better description by means of comparing things that occur, instances of things that are happening, or data, phenomenon, that supports or agrees with the generalizing statement. Instance is synonymous with example. The root word found in the word instance means to stand. So you could say that instance and stand are loosely part of the same word family. Instance is something that happens, and it contains the root word to stand, and we can think of an instance as something that stands in place. The root word is also seen in other words, including an instant, which means a very short period of time, and urgent, something that is pressing, that needs to be done immediately. An instance is a point, making a point by giving example. An instant is a point of time, and something that is urgent is something that is very pressing and very important, time sensitive. Our next word is intent. The word intent is the noun form of the verb intend. And the word intent is synonymous with purpose, the aim of the plan, or the motivation behind the action. The root word contained in the word intent or intend means to reach out or to stretch. And it is seen in other words such as attend, intend, attend, attention, intention, extend, extension, pretend, pretense, tend, tendency, and tension. So when you think of the word intent, you think of stretching out, and the word tension also means a stretching. All right, our next word is invest. Vest, the word vest in the original Latin meant a garment of clothing. In ancient society, certain garments conferred rank. For example, a priest or a nun wears a special clothing because he or she makes a special vow to live a certain way. So when you put on the garment, you then take on the role that garment confers, the uniform basically. To invest, therefore, means to put on the garment and to take on the title or role. In the modern day, we invest our time and efforts in our work and study to better become the kind of person we aspire to be. So when we want to reach a goal, we want to be a certain kind of a person, we need to invest time and effort in study and practice and these kinds of things in work to reach that point in time where we become that. We also invest our finances in firms or financial instruments that we believe to be stable and likely to grow in value over time. So where we invest our money, we invest it into firms and products that we believe will grow in value and benefit our lives over time. Just as we invest our own time and effort and energy into activities that we believe will give us future benefit. Just as when we put on the garment, we then become the kind of person that type of person ought to be. That's the meaning of invest there. Next word is investigate, and this is a different kind of a word. To investigate means to carry out a systematic or formal inquiry. Again, that word inquiry. To discover and examine the facts about something, such as an incident or allegation, something that happened, or an accusation, so as to establish the truth. An investigation. The police are investigating a claim that the firm was defrauded by the CEO. Now, related words belonging to this word family is vestige or vestigial. These words mean a remnant or a footprint, something that is left behind. So the root word found in investigate is the same root word found in vestige, which means something that is left behind. To investigate means to study the remnant, such as forensics. Forensic science is studying a crime scene, looking for evidence to follow the footprints to ascertain the truth of what happened. Next word is perfect, or imperfect, I should say. Perfect combines the Latin words per, meaning through, with facere, which means to do. So done thoroughly. Perfect means thoroughly done. When the prefix im is added here, it makes it a negative. The word imperfect is the opposite of the word perfect, meaning incomplete. Let's look at the root word found in perfect. We see the root word present in these words: affect, effect, defect, infect, and also fact. All of these words imply a thing that is done. A fact is a thing that is done. Defect is the thing that is done incorrectly. Infect is an infection. Let's look at the words affect and effect here. Effect is the noun form of the verb affect. How is the verb affect used? Well, alcohol consumption can affect the brain and mood positively, making people happier and more excited. So affect means to cause something to happen. If taken immoderately, however, it often results in disastrous effects to a person's health and relationships. So the effects of long-term alcohol abuse are quite negative. But in the immediate sense, alcohol affects a person positively. It generally improves their mood. Coming back to the word imperfect, when the prefix is added here, it makes it negative. The word imperfect is the opposite of the word perfect. Next one is impossible. A possibility as a noun means a thing that can happen. To say that something is possible in the literal rather than the hypothetical sense is to say that it can be done, or it is within one's ability to do it. So when we talk about possibility, we can talk about hypothetically in a thought experiment, but when we're talking about it like practically and literally, we're talking about what is within our power to affect. If you put in the time to study with the correct amount of effort and focus, anything is possible for you. Impossible. The common phrase, "it is impossible to fit a square peg in a round hole," implies to solve a task, one needs to carefully understand it and approach it correctly. So again, you need the correct education, the correct information to achieve the result. You could say that anything is possible, but if you keep doing things incorrectly, it will never be possible. It is impossible to fit a square peg in a round hole. Were you to keep trying, you would either completely fail or you would cause damage to the peg or the hole. So the meaning of this phrase, "it is impossible to fit a square peg into a round hole," implies that to solve a task, one needs to carefully understand it and approach it correctly. No amount of force or effort will fit a square peg in a round hole. Is a way of saying, don't waste your time on making the same mistakes repeatedly. Next word is important. An important item is one that should not be lost because it is valuable or rare. Hard or impossible to replace. Valuable, rare, impossible to replace, or very difficult to replace. An important task is one that must be done, otherwise future related tasks will also be impossible to complete because of their dependency. Education is important because without proper education, one has severely restricted access to a high-earning job. Alright, the important is the adjective. The base word is actually import. The root word found here is found in other words such as deport and report. Also maybe support. Okay, support, deport, report, and import. Prefix is added to the root word here. The prefix means to come into, im, and the root word means something carried. So the root word means something that is carried, and the prefix to come into together means something that is brought in. An imported good is valuable because it comes from the outside. So in the United States, fuel imported from the Middle East is one of their most important imported commodities. They're completely dependent upon the Middle East for their energy imports. Something that is rare and must be brought in from the outside is therefore important. All right, we're coming up to the end. Irrational. The word rational, derived from the word ratio, in its original sense meant can be seen. Okay, so the root word here in this word rational meant can be seen. Rational is an adjective, and it is used today to mean something that can be understood through reason and logic. In other words, anyone with a basic education and a good, healthy mind should be able to rationally come to the same understanding. Another word is logic, the rules of logic. Rational numbers are those that can be expressed as common fractions. So 1/2 or 1/3 or 1/4. These can be expressed as decimals, but not all decimals can be expressed as fractions. So 0.25 can be expressed as 1/4. 0.33 is not actually, like 1/3 is actually not a true rational number, because there's no way to divide, let's say 100 by 3. What you get is 33.333 infinitely, right? So actually 1/3 is not a true rational type of number here, but 1/2 and 1/4 are. So we're looking at this this image here. This is the pi, 3.141592653589, and it continues on infinitely without repetition. The number pi, shown in the image here to the right, is a number that is irrational. That is, it is impossible for humans to conceive it in its entirety because it is infinite in length. The number pi is needed to calculate the area of a circle. Because the perimeter of a circle is curved, we can't accurately measure its area using mathematical formulas. We can only get an approximation. Okay, and our last word is regular. The adjective regular means to be arranged or constituted in a predictable pattern. And here we see the Fibonacci sequence, a geometrical representation of the Fibonacci sequence. Irregular. Regular weather patterns, for example, are those that accord with weather patterns that have been recorded and can be predicted. The regular high temperatures in the month of August in Shanghai, for example, should not exceed 38 degrees Celsius. Anything above that is irregular or anomalous. The root word found in regular means rule, and we see that in the word regulation. So something that is irregular is something that goes against the rules. And that, all right, and we'll just also summarize the meaning here. All right, so the word ignorant is an adjective, which means someone without knowledge or uneducated. Illegal, an adjective, meaning in violation of state law. Illiterate, an adjective, someone who is unable to read or write. Illuminate, to enlighten, to give light. Include, to bring apart, into the whole. Incident, an unexpected and unfortunate event. Inquiry, a formal meeting where questions are asked. Instance, an occurrence or something that happens, an example. Intent, the purpose or aim, the motivation for action. Invest, to put the resources, such as time and effort, towards something with the expectation of gaining a future benefit. Investigate, to conduct a formal and systematic study about something unknown, such as a scientific investigation. Imperfect, adjective for incomplete. Impossible, adjective for something that cannot be done. Important, adjective for something of value. Irrational, adjective for beyond common understanding or illogical. And irregular, adjective for against the rules or something that is unusual, something that is abnormal. All right, so thank you for watching, and in about a week's time, we will be tackling words beginning with prefixes, words with prefixes beginning with letter M and N, and so on. We're about 30% of the way through this part of the course. So if you've watched this far, thank you greatly for sticking with me. And if you enjoyed this video and you want to support the creation of future content, you want to help this channel grow, do remember to leave a like and follow this channel and share it with those that you think may benefit from it. With all that said, again, leave me a comment or a message if you have any questions, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.